Conflict in Sudan escalates. 31 Indians, all from the state of Karnataka, is said to be stranded in the African country. The Indian mission has now warned about the instances of looting. In an advisory, the mission has warned the Indians to ration the supplies and not venture out unnecessarily. The warning comes as the military conflict in the country between the army and the paramilitary is escalating, with death toll crossing 185. Which includes one Indian national. Now let's put out for you the advisory that has come from the Indian embassy in Sudan. It says, we have come across many instances of looting. All Indian nationals are advised not to venture out. Please ration your supplies. The situation may continue for a few days. Please try to take help from your neighbors. Please stay home and remain safe. Now, this is the third advisory issued, which means that the Indians who are at the moment based in Sudan do have a risk owing to which they need to be compliant of the embassy's advisory that has been issued from time to time. Now, violence broke out early on Saturday after weeks of power struggle between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, who heads the heavily armed BSF. Meanwhile, here in India, the matter has echoed in the poll-bound state of Karnataka, where Congress leader Siddaramaiah has urged the BJP-led centre and the state government to intervene and facilitate the safe return of the people from the state, from those stranded in Sudan. Let's put out for you what Siddaramaiah has said in his tweet. It is reported that 31 people from Karnataka belonging to the Haki-Pikki tribe are stranded in Sudan, which is troubled by civil war. I urge PMO India, HMO India, the MEA and BS Bomai to immediately intervene and ensure their safe return. However, this tweet has drawn the ire of Mr. Jaishankar, who now says that Siddaramaiah is actually only trying to play politics. If we have that tweet, we can put that out as well, where S. Jaishankar says it is not prudent to do politics. There are lives at stake. Don't do politics. Indian embassy in Khartoum has been in touch with Indian nationals and in Pios in Sudan. So all necessary steps are being taken as per the External Affairs Minister. In fact, the ministry has established a control room to provide assistance and information about the Indians stuck in Sudan. In view of the current situation, numbers have been released on public platforms that people can contact for further information. They can contact the control room. I am now joined by Mr. Bastien Massa. Is he with us yet? Okay, we have
yes,
Mr. Bastien Massa, who's a journalist. He's joining us from Addis Ababa. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mirror. Now, very good evening to you, Mr. Massa. Could you give us an understanding on what is the exact situation right now? This is some sort of a civil war as is being reported in India. There is a lot at risk for those residing in Sudan at the moment.
I want to stress that it's not a civil war. A lot of Sudanese people say it's not our war. It's not a civil war. It's a war between two armies and two generals struggling for power. And for 4 days, civilians are taken in crossfires. They are afraid. They are being used as human shields.
Okay.
RSF militiamen are hiding in residential neighborhoods. So it's really a urban guerrilla. And as the proverb says, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers the most. And in this case, Sudanese people and Sudanese civilians are the grass. But today, a ceasefire, a 24-hour ceasefires have been negotiated and have been agreed upon by the two generals. And it should start right now. And this ceasefire will be a good try, a good test for the coming days. If it is respected by both forces, it's a good sign for the next days, and we can expect civilians to reach hospitals, to go out for food, to go out for water and medicines, and even we can expect an evacuation of international citizens. Mm-hmm. But if the fightings continue, and during these 24 hours ceasefire, it will be hard for the next days, and we can expect an increase in the tensions, in the fightings, and it will mean that none of the generals are ready for peace talks and negotiation.
What are the chances then, Mr. Massa? You're saying that it all depends whether the two generals decide to come to the discussion table and they call for ceasefire. Only then there is a chance that the expats, people from other countries who are stuck there, can be evacuated. You're saying that for the moment, there doesn't seem to be a conducive situation for those Indians who are stuck there also to come back to India?
The good thing is that even if the airport was attacked and even if some planes were burnt, the main runway is not affected. So international planes or evacuation planes can land and take off from this and evacuating some international citizens.
Okay.
But none of the country will take the risk of sending planes if the fighting around the airport, which is in the center of the city, next to the headquarters of the army. If the fighting continues in this area, no country will take the risk of sending planes. So we need to have an ease in the tensions, and or one group controlling the area to expect to have a look or to have a chance to get an evacuation of Indian citizens.
Mr. Massa, for the understanding of Indian audience, can you give us some context on why this happened? What triggered this kind of an internal conflict?
Sorry, can you repeat?
I wanted to know for the Indian audience and for our understanding, what exactly has triggered this conflict between two generals? What was the reason that they got into a war path?
So we have to go back to the revolution, to the Sudanese revolution in 2019, and the ousting of former dictator Omar al-Bashir. And since then, there is a duo at the head of the Sudanese government. One is the chief of the army, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the other one is the leader of the RSF. And both men are coexisting, and they had to rule and to together. But since then, the situation between them has been deteriorating, and they have more and more disagreement. Recently, in last December, a political agreement was signed between al-Burhan, Hemeti, and the political civilian forces. And Hemeti took the party, he sided with the civilian forces, and he considered that the coup was a failure and that the civilian forces had to take back the power and had to be as a government again, which is not the way the army sees the situation and considers the situation.
Yes, it's unfortunate that around 185 people already killed and the numbers could rise. Of course, the Indian embassy there is trying its best to help the citizens from India, also urging them to maintain their supplies. It is a tense situation. I thank you for joining me, Mr. Bastien Massa, for giving us clear perspectives on what's the ground situation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right. So let's in fact